All right. So it's a good place to pick up on Louisville. So we have a lot more transplants from out west out in Louisville. The only thing is when a California transplant comes in, um, I'm used to Californians. I've been to California many times. My older sister's lived there for over 20 years, and her ex-husband's from California. I've been around Californians for many years. So they're Northern Californian. It's not LA. Um, and my older sister, um, she met her ex-husband out in California, and she used to live in San Diego for many years. And then his job took him up to Florida, and then he worked his way up, and he went back out to California. And they've been there for forever, pretty much. They've been there for a long time. And so I'm used to Californians. That all being said, I'm used to like the extreme southern part of California, like San Diego, or the extreme north, such as Sacramento, which is the area my sister lives in. And I've been to both areas many times. I've been to LA quite a few times. I've been all through the state many times for over 20 years, 25 years. My sister was living in San Diego when I graduated high school. My graduation present was for me to go spend a few weeks out in San Diego with her. And which for an 18-year-old girl going out to San Diego all by myself and to go hang with my older sister for a few weeks, that was really cool, because at that point I had traveled a lot, but I had never lived anywhere beyond Louisville or Tennessee. Now, and my cousin Joey, he was in the Marines, and he was stationed out in San Diego the same time Courtney lived out in San Diego. So, California's been a big part of my life for a majority of my life. Now, so I'm used to Californians, I make fun of their accent as much as they make fun of mine. So, it's all in good fun as long as they keep it under a certain bar. There's things I love about that area. There's things I hate, like anywhere. And I'll go more over that. I'll make LA my next pros and cons video, and California in general. But yeah, there's a lot of Californian transplants. Now, a lot more people go out to California than they come to Louisville. Let's be real, Kentucky and Tennessee. Maybe not Tennessee is bad because Nashville's there and, country music. And Nashville's a pretty decent sized, well-known city. But, especially in the music industry. But Louisville, don't get me wrong, a lot of celebrities come to Louisville, but it's very Derby specific. So a lot of people fly in, a couple days before the Derby, and they fly out the day after, And I don't blame them. But when you have a California transplant come into Louisville, a lot of people have been to California. The culture shock, I would imagine, is very large. They definitely don't understand the culture of a place like that or the mindset. And, and I've seen it a few times. They either just stick to their guns and be Californian all the way, which fine, be yourself, which I prefer. But I do see that people make the mistake of trying to embrace the culture, and they become a zealot, and they become like ultra hyper Christian and all this weird stuff. And I'm not saying there aren't Christians out in California, but it's a much different flavor than it is in Kentucky. So, yeah. So, I mean, you get into those mountains on the eastern part of the state, and, we're talking like, real deep in the mountains. We're talking like the people that handle rattlesnakes. And if the snake didn't bite him, God, it was God. I'm saying like some real crazy religious shit. So, the snake handler people are always special in my book. They're special, all right. So, yeah, they're just Kentucky is it's a special breed of people. So, but I get the appeal. Cost of living's amazing. I don't know why particular Kentucky, because Kentucky has state income tax. And, unless you're just so specific in your particular career field and you can find a really amazing job in Louisville, which that is very possible, Louisville does have some major places still. And don't get me wrong, the Indiana side is really beautiful. A lot of amazing homes out there. Where I grew up was really beautiful, and not much has changed where I grew up, and I hope it stays that way. It's changed some, but the area of the town I grew up in has really not changed very much, and I really hope it stays that way. I if I could buy my childhood home, I would. And the first thing that I would do was put the in-ground pool back in. But if I could buy that property and, just remodel the house, entirely, I would in a heartbeat. I love that house. I loved living there. I love that area. It's very, very beautiful. That's the only way I would move back. But Louisville, pros. So, cost of living, obvious, just it's way more affordable to live out there. Where you're paying $12 a pack of cigarettes, for instance. Let's just be real, a lot of people in Kentucky smoke. I'm chewing nicotine gum as we speak. I'm trying to quit again. I'd quit for many years, but the last year, major stressors in my life, I picked it back up. When things just get too stressful, I pick cigarettes back up. I was a smoker for a while, and I regret ever picking it up to begin with, but I did. And, excuse me, I might smoke one or two a day, if that. But with nicotine gum, it really does curb the cravings. So I am trying to quit smoking again. But a lot of people in Kentucky smoke. So if you're going to buy, say, for instance, my speed of cigarette, which is a Marlboro Lights, that's what I smoked for years, you'll be paying like $5 a pack in Kentucky, maybe $6 in LA. In California, you're paying about $12 a pack. It's double. If that kind of gives you like a reference frame of what we're talking about here. So, yeah. Just everything out in California is anywhere from, it's usually probably double the cost, just about. So, yeah, cost of living is a huge pro in that area. It's just a lot more affordable to live. If you have a manufacturing background, an engineering background, things of that nature, you will find a decent job. You know, don't get me wrong, there's office jobs, and there's more office jobs coming into the area, but it's definitely a much more industrial town. And, you know, that's thanks to the Ohio River. You know, it's just always been a much, it's been always a very heavy industrial manufacturing town. It's a really, really big job to get in that area is at the Ford plant, because you're unionized, you're with the UAW, and it's a union job, it's a contract job, you know, and most people that get in on at the Ford plant, they're there for life. They do 40 years, some of them, and retire, you know, in the whole 9 yards. And, you know, a lot of steel shops, that kind of thing. My ex-husband's family, blue collar, and, you know, his mom, she had an office job in a steel shop, but she worked in steel shops her whole life. His dad was a printing press guy. He ran printing presses. Those are very big in Louisville for some reason. So, there's a lot of printing presses there. So, yeah, his dad ran a printing press for years. I'm sure he still does. I don't know he may have retired at this point, but yeah, I mean, that's what his dad did for many, many years. Machinists. My ex-husband was a machinist for years before he went into the military. He didn't go into the military at 18 like a lot of kids do. He was actually a machinist for many years before he joined the military. I want to say like probably 5 or 6 years. He was like 24 when he joined, 23, 24. So, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of that kind of thing going on. And so, I mean, if you have engineering of a certain kind background, in manufacturing, you know, you'll easily find a job there. As far as like STEM jobs or specific types of engineering, you know, things like that, IT, don't get me wrong, there's a market there, but it's just not as big as other cities. You know, you're probably better off elsewhere. The weather, as I was stating, very cold in the winter. Very cold. It can be bitter cold. On average, it's probably 30s, 40s for the ultimate high in the middle of winter. You know, you might get a couple days where it's like, you know, 40 degrees. But it's always going to be in the 20s and teens at night. It's going to be cold. In the summer, it's the Ohio River Valley. And, you know, the river is what separates Kentucky from Indiana. And there's a bunch of bridges going across. Big, huge bridges. It's a bridge city. It's a river city. And, yeah, so... also, that was a huge area for the Underground Railroad. So actually growing up, we went on many field trips where we would go to visit these historical homes in the area and their basements. They showed you the tunnels for the Underground Railroad. And, you know, I've seen a lot of Underground Railroad historical places. Because, you know, going from Kentucky to Indiana, that was freedom. So on the Indiana side, and the Louisville side, because they would tunnel from Louisville and they would tunnel and then they would cross the river and then tunnel through Indiana. So, and hide in Indiana and houses and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was wild, you know, I mean, because you can just literally see it literally in action, you know, how they had to do it. So it's a very interesting place to grow up. Because, you know, I literally from an area that was very Underground Railroad heavy. Um, but the summers, you have to remember it's Indiana. Indiana is the Midwest, and there are rolling hills in the area. And even in southern Indiana, I know a lot of Indiana, most of Indiana is just flat, nothing. It's just corn and soybean fields. Um, Whereas the part of Indiana I'm from, there's a lot of hills, um, lots of forest, lots of woods. I grew up in the woods. I grew up playing in the woods. That was a big part of my childhood. Um, yeah, so that area, though, and for whatever reason, the whole geographical terrain, the river's probably a major part of that too. It's a lot of hills. There's actually some decent sized cliffs in areas. It's a very, very hilly area in Louisville and the southern Indiana side. That all being said, it's still Midwestern and still a plains area to some degree, and a lot of tornadoes. And the way storms form in the summertime there, just nasty, nasty, nasty thunderstorms. And Louisville is 95 degrees, 100% humidity. It is a swamp town. That river does not help. And I mean, it's just hot and miserable. And it's just swamp pits and swamp town. And when it rains, it's a hilly area. So in the valleys of the hills, it floods, and by the river banks it floods really bad. The southern Indiana side and the Louisville side, on both sides of the river, at the direct part of the river, there's a lot of like park area and all that. They've really developed it over the years where you can walk along the river, and there's these big trails, and there's actually a walking bridge to go. It's called the Big Four Bridge, where you walk from Louisville to Indiana and back and forth. And they light the bridge up at night. It's really beautiful, and there's a park on each side, and it's really cool. It's well done. But those areas, if we get a lot of rain, it floods. It floods really, really bad. There's some really cool areas like the Falls of Ohio. Those are like these old school fossil beds, and we used to go on field trips there all the time, and you can go and play on the fossil beds when the water recedes. And if you poke around long enough, you'll find a fossil. And you usually find one pretty quick. I don't know if they still do that, but when we were growing up, we did that. So I grew up collecting fossils and things like that. Yeah, so I mean, it's the weather in the spring and the autumn, fall time. Those are the preferable times of year to be there, especially autumn. Autumn's a lot more tame than the spring, because spring is tornado season. And I mean, talk about some nasty thunderstorms, real nasty. And they come in quick and fast, and they leave really quick and fast. But I mean, they can do damage in a matter of 30 minutes. I mean, an assload of damage, fallen trees everywhere, power lines down. It's kind of like almost like having a mini hurricane come through, once or twice a week, sometimes. I spent a lot of time, many years, in the springtime. Everybody in that area just about has a basement, and you have to. And I spent a lot of time being woke up in the middle of the night. We had to go down the basement because of tornado warnings. I've had friends' houses taken out by tornadoes growing up. I've heard a couple tornadoes. Nothing ever came on our property, thank God. But yeah, we had a lot of tornadoes growing up. and it's like nothing you've ever heard or seen before. It's weird. It's normal for me, but I can see where somebody that didn't grow up in that, it would be weird. It's obviously worse out in places like Oklahoma and Kansas, Missouri, those areas, Illinois. If you go further north in Indiana, it's worse. But still, we got plenty of it. We get real bad thunderstorms there. The weather there is a little left to be desired. You do have all 4 seasons, and you have them very, very truly. But I don't know. I mean, there's other places that have all 4 seasons that aren't quite so extreme. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely other places that have all 4 seasons, and you can actually enjoy the seasons a little more. I mean, summer's going to be hot anywhere usually, unless you just go extreme north, or you have a very specific climate bubble you're living in or something. But yeah, I mean, there's places that have all 4 seasons that have a little bit, that have milder winters, and they don't have such a crazy tornado season during the spring. I mean, springtime kind of brings rough weather for storms anyways, but pretty much anywhere. But I mean, a lot of places don't get hit by tornadoes usually. Yeah, autumn is pretty much generally pretty everywhere. In Florida, not as much. They don't have turning of the leaves and things like that. Where further up north, it's really pretty. Autumn's probably preferable to everybody everywhere in America. That's the pretty time of year. It tends to bring out the best in people because it's cool, but it's not cold. It's warm, but it's not hot. There's not a lot of humidity, and the leaves are turning beautiful colors, and it's a great time to just like put on a nice cozy sweater and go grab a cup of coffee and and relax and read a book. I love reading books in fall time for some reason. I don't know why, but I do. I love to read books in the fall. It has a vibe to it, I guess. And Louisville's the same. It's really beautiful. So there is that going for it. Now, that is a pro and a con for Louisville, is the weather. You do get all 4 seasons. It's like what you learn in elementary school about all 4 seasons, because a lot of places don't actually have all 4 seasons. A lot of places have like 2 seasons or 3 seasons, and they're a lot more extreme. It's the classic 4 seasons hotel. But it's extreme in its 4 seasons, where I know other places can be milder. Where I'm from in Tennessee, they have all 4 seasons, but the seasons are milder. So, I mean, just for kind of a reference point, yeah, I mean, that is a plus to that area, and I'll go over that area as well. Is they have all 4 seasons, but the seasons are a lot milder. Don't get me wrong, it gets plenty hot and humid in the summer, and it gets cold in the winter, but nothing compared to Louisville. Some more pros. The Kentucky Derby. I mean, the obvious Derby season. It's a season in Louisville. I grew up with it. The season gets kicked off by what we call Thunder over Louisville. I think it's the world's I'm pretty sure it's the nation, if not the world's largest fireworks show. And they set all the fireworks off on a bridge over the river, and people from both sides of the river crowd the riverbanks, and you watch the fireworks. And I grew up doing that. It is crowded. It is very, very crowded. And, obviously, like, a million of, like, the carnival-esque food stands, where you're buying elephant ears and corn dogs and shit. But, I mean, you go with money in hand knowing that you're going to be overpriced for a fucking corn dog. But, us natives of the area, we know where to sit on the riverbanks, and we also know to bring our own cooler. You bring blankets. Sometimes, a lot of people, and this is how I grew up doing it, they treat it as an all-day event. And we would meet up with family and friends, and we would set a blanket on the riverbank and bring a cooler with a bunch of drinks, snacks, things like that. I mean, we still got, like, elephant ears and things like that, funnel cakes or whatever. But it's a lot more cost effective to do it that way than to spend, $100 on a bunch of food stands. If you really know somebody, and they have a boat on the Ohio River, a lot of people go out on their boats and watch the fireworks from the boats on the river. That's like the optimal way to do it. Or if you can get a ticket, or somebody, and somebody that works or lives in one of the high-rise buildings in the city, or has a house on the riverbank on the Indiana side, and you can get in that way, and watch it from the rooftops, because there's literal houses, like, literally right there on the river. And there's always somebody that knows somebody that lives on the river, and you go up to the roof and watch the fireworks and stuff like that. But those are the optimal ways to do it, and there's a lot of businesses that have rooftop parties and stuff like that, and you can buy outrageous overpriced tickets to go see the fireworks. It's a big deal in the area. It really is. The whole downtown is shut off. And the Derby Fest lasts 2 weeks, and it's 2 weeks before the Derby, and Thunder Over Louisville kicks off on a Saturday night. It's Saturday, exactly 2 weeks before the Derby. And the Derby is always the first Saturday in May, so sometimes that coincides right before Mother's Day as well. Springtime in Louisville is very busy. It's hopping, from pretty much from like right now, like yesterday was St. Patty's Day. So from St. Patty's Day all the way till Memorial Day, Louisville's hopping. That's a really popular time for Louisville. It's a good time to be there. There's a lot of like Irish bars in like the hipster part of town. That area is called the Highlands. And there's like Molly Malone's and those kinds of places. Are they real Irish bars? I'm sure an Irish person would walk in there and be like, blasphemy. but they're Irish bars, and they have like that Irish bar feel, and, I'm sure like the average American would be like, oh, this is where James Joyce sat down, this kind of place he sat down in and drank Guinness and wrote, but and not really, but it has that like vibe to it. It's kind of like the Irish bar. Like I imagine if I went to Ireland, it would be like a tourist trap. It's not a tourist trap in that area, but in Ireland, I can easily see it being like a tourist trappy type of bar. So, it's just like the American idealized version of Ireland. It's called an area called Bardstown Road. It's a road that goes like 20 miles through Louisville, but a good chunk of it, about good 5 to 10 miles of it, is all this area called the Highlands, and it's like this super super hyper liberal, super, it's like the cultural part of town. um Highlands and the university areas are like the cultural parts of town. um Super liberal, you see Black Lives Matter posters everywhere, the rainbow flags flying everywhere, that kind of thing. A lot of Breonna Taylor signs, because that's obviously where it all happened. So, yeah, I digress. So, the Derby Fest, March 17th, everybody goes to Barstown Road and goes to all those Irish bars and starts that, this is a time of year where everything starts to kick off. The snow is melting, everybody's kind of knocking winter off and getting ready for spring and Derby. And and then Easter, Easter's comes along. I'm looking for something, I can't find it. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really good time of year in Louisville. If you're going to visit anytime, it's really pretty in the fall, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but there's not anything specific going on other than leaf peeping. That's what they call it, leaf peeping. If you're like into like going to look at leaves at the fall, in fall time, they call it leaf peeping. I think it sounds a little weird, but that's the terminology. But yeah, so there's other places you can go leaf peeping that are a lot nicer, a lot prettier. It is beautiful there, don't get me wrong. And if you live in the area, obviously you're going to enjoy it. But like I said, there's a way nicer places in the country to go leaf peeping. Well, what did I do with it? So spring is probably the best time of year to be in Louisville. But there's a payoff. It's tornado season. Just something to be aware of. And the thing about Thunder of Louisville is, yes, it can either be 85 degrees and the sun is baking you all day and you're in shorts and a tank top and sweating your ass off. It's either one or the other. Or it's cold, rainy, and like 50 degrees and you're covered in like 20 layers and you're freezing your ass off. You're either burning alive or freezing your ass off. It's one or the other. It's never in between. So it's just the nature of the beast. So I mean, it's just weather karma. So it's just one or the other. I've never known it to be anything else. It's just how it is. But I would definitely say, if it's going to be a good year they're forecasting good weather, definitely go there. And then we have a hot air balloon race during the Derby Festival. We actually race hot air balloons. There's a million of them. You can see them in the sky. It's really cool. It's really unique. We have the Louisville Marathon during that time, the Derby Marathon. I mean, they have a million different races going on at that time, but the big one's the marathon. They close off all downtown. They run right through downtown Louisville, all over it. So that's a really big one. That is the second Saturday. So there's 3 Saturdays in the Derby Fest. The first one is Thunder of Louisville. The second one is the marathon, and the third one is Derby. And then there's a million very like specific things going on locally that are specific to the Derby Fest that, are more akin to what a local would know about than like the average public. I would imagine, it's not like common knowledge, but I would say, there's plenty of people that outside of Louisville that know about Thunder over Louisville. A lot of people know about the Kentucky Derby. Now, a lot of locals, everybody's been to the Derby probably at least once. But locals tend not to go to the Derby for real. I mean, you might go a couple times throughout your lifetime, but that's and trust me, plenty of people do, but a lot of locals, we party at home. There is a race the day before the Derby. It's called the Oaks. That's the fillies running. That's the girls running. That is more popular with locals. Now the Oaks, Derby Day is all about the hats and like the ridiculous outfits, but super duper your best Sunday best church clothes and a crazy hat to match. It's all about your hat. Where unless you're in the infield, people still wear the stuff, but in the infield it can get real nasty and dirty. So a lot of people, they're wearing like hunter boots, rain boots and overalls and shit. But if you're in the stands, you're going to be wearing your Sunday best, your bestest of your Sunday best, and a crazy hat to go with it. Whereas Friday, you're in your Sunday best, but the tradition there is everybody wears pink. So all the girls, because the fillies are running, so all the girls are wearing pink. Everybody's still wearing the crazy hats, but everybody's in pink just about. So that's more traditional for the locals. Is we tend to go to the Oaks rather than the Derby itself. Derby Day, you just know somebody having a crazy ass Derby party. They go ahead and expect everybody to be smashed out of their brains, and everybody's gonna be drunker than shit. Every office in the freaking city is, passing around a hat, and you're throwing in your bet and your horse that you think's gonna win. You go for your trifecta, all of it. All that shit. So, everybody's into the spirit of it. Now, Derby's the same way. It's not as extreme as Thunder over Louisville, but it can be. You're either going to have a really cold, rainy Derby, and that's what I'm saying. If you're in the infield on a Derby like that, you're going to be in overalls and a thick coat and rain boots because it's real muddy in the infield. It's a mud pit. And it's either perfect blue skies and 75 or 80 degrees and the most beautiful Derby you've ever seen, or it is cold and rainy and you're miserable. So, yeah, just something to think about. So, I mean, if you're going in the infield, dress appropriately. But if you're in the stands, you can get away with more of the traditional Derby garb. Yeah, so I mean, it is a really good time to be in Louisville for that whole festival. Everybody's in a much better mood. It's not winter anymore, it's not fucking freezing cold anymore. That is one thing about the area is like once spring starts rolling around, you can almost smell fresher air. You're just like, oh yes, knock the old musty winter off, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, it is a really good time of year to be there. It is a definite pro. And if you have the money and the time to take off, I would definitely recommend staying the whole 2 weeks and really living it up. There's a thing in downtown Louisville called the Bourbon Trail, and it's just a bunch of bourbon distilleries all through the city, and you hop from one to the other. I mean, you're drunk, but by the time it's all said and done, but yeah, that would be a good thing to do while you're there if you can swing it. There's a lot of history in the city, as I was stating. The Underground Railroad, all kinds of major history going on in the city, and it's really important to the city. But there's also like these amazing, gorgeous, beautiful historical hotels in Louisville, and they've kept them up. They're in pristine condition. They look amazing. And there is the Galt House, the Seelbach, and the Brown. And I mean, any one of them amazing. And then there's also here recently, like the last 15 years or so, 15, 20 years, there's a hotel. It's an art hotel, and it's in a few different major cities throughout the country. I think Indianapolis just got one, but we've had one in Louisville for quite a while. It's called 21C, and you get a room there. They actually have an art museum in the hotel, and there's like art installations on each floor. And then you actually have pieces of works of art in your room, like literal works of art in your room. It's really beautiful. That's a really cool hotel if you're wanting like a more traditional vibe. I mean, if you want to really go for it, go to the Brown Hotel, where the hot brown was invented, and get a hot brown at the Brown Hotel. And yeah, I mean, just if you really want to feel like the full, like old school Louisville Derby vibe, and mint juleps and bourbon and hot browns and all of it. Yeah. I mean, Brown Hotel is your go-to, and each room is decked out in like these amazing like handmade horse afghans on each bed, and trust me, the rooms are beautiful. So yeah, I mean, you would definitely have to book it out in advance unless you just have some major pool and major money. But yeah, I mean, the Brown Hotel is like the classic, historical, amazing, beautiful Louisville hotel. The Seelbach is really, really nice too. It's a historical hotel. It's been around for a couple hundred years, I think. But the Brown, that's like where the hot brown was invented. It has a really good restaurant. My ex-husband, they have a really amazing bourbon bar inside. My ex-husband and we stayed at the Brown Hotel after we got married. We were married in historical capital of Indiana. Indiana has two capitals. One's Corden. That's the first capital. That's the historical one. And now Indianapolis. Corden isn't very far from Louisville. And my ex-husband's from Corden. And before he moved to Floyd County. And we got married in the old historical Corden courthouse. But our wedding weekend, we stayed at the Brown Hotel in Louisville. And, the bourbon bar, we did it up, So, I would definitely recommend that if you're wanting like the old school vibe. If you're more modern and you want like a little bit more of a modern vibe, I would definitely recommend 21C. That is a really cool hotel. It's a really cool place, especially if you're really into art. Another pro is, so I mean, definitely if you can swing it, go to the Derby at least. But if you can really swing it, spend 2 weeks for Derby Fest. It is really fun. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm jaded. It's just, I'm kind of immune to all of it because I grew up with it. So, where a lot of people are like, oh my God. Me, it's just another Derby, for a lot of the locals, it can be annoying because some of the Derby festivities, they block off all of downtown Louisville, and then you can't get around and you can't drive around, and every time you try to make a turn, your road is blocked, and it causes a lot of traffic jams, and it pisses locals off. So for a local, it can be kind of a headache for us. And Derby Day, it's really blocked off and can be very annoying. Now, so I'm just kind of immune to all of it. It's just another Derby. I still look up the horses and pick my horses, I still do that. But yeah, otherwise yeah, I'm just I'm immune. I'm just immune to it. Now, what else? Let's see. The Highlands area, as I was describing earlier, that's a highlight of the city. So it's kind of a mixture of college kids, kind of like a hipster crowd, but there's also still a really large minority population in the area. On the weekends, especially later at night, that's where kind of like the more like bar club scene is. But during the day, during the week and the weekends, lots of really unique shopping, lots of really unique places to eat. Let's see. If you're like into sushi and Japanese cuisine, I would definitely recommend Dragon King's Daughter. That's a really great place to eat. What else? There's a million unique pizza places on Bardstown Road. Definitely recommend all of them. They're up and down the entire road. There's a lot of like microbreweries and things like that have popped up over the years, for sure. My favorite coffee shop in Louisville is on Bardstown Road. It's called Days Coffee. I think it's the only one. I think there's only one in the whole city. And it's just a really low-key, laid-back place to go get coffee. It's not crazy overpriced like some of those hipster coffee places can be. But they have really good coffee. And they have like, and it's almost kind of like it almost has like that Ivy League kind of feel to it. The whole area does, but Days Coffee, it has like that. It's definitely a different crowd, and they have these like little nooks where you can sit in windows and drink coffee and play on your computer and watch the foot traffic. And that's another good thing about the Highlands, is there's a lot of foot and bike traffic in that area. You don't, it's in fact, it's probably preferable to driving in that area. So, and that's another good thing about Louisville, especially in the city, is like you don't necessarily have to have a car if a lot of your traveling is within the city limits. You can get by with just a bike, and a bus pass. It's when you start branching out, and if you're living or you're working on the outskirts of Louisville, that's when things start getting more complicated, and because you need to either take a bus really far out, or you need to get some kind of four-wheel transportation to go into the outskirts. And the Highlands, I mean, just a really unique, like really super hipstery place in Louisville. I will say this though, the crime rate, I mean, it's always been a little bit rougher in certain areas there, but it's really exploded in the last 10 years. Um, there's especially on the weekends when people are bar hopping and clubbing and shit. Um, the crime rate, I mean, there's a large police presence there on the weekends at night, and there has to be because a lot of people are doing a lot of stupid shit. um, but yeah, I mean, the crime rate in that particular area has exploded quite a bit. The crime rate in Louisville, we'll get into that later, but in general has exploded. But that particular area has been hit really hard. And yeah, they've really amped up the police presence and the rest with Louisville. Now, especially in that area, because they have to. I mean, when I'm talking crime rate, you know, I'm talking like people are drunk at the club and they're like whipping out guns on each other and shit. So, you know, just something to be mindful of. You know, if you're going to go bar hopping there on the weekends, especially if you're visiting, I would definitely stick to like a certain area of bars like the Molly Malone's, even though it's like Irish Blasphemy. Those are probably your safer bet. There's a couple cool new little clubs that have popped up. I haven't been to them, but they look unique. Those might be fun. But yes, certain kinds of clubs, they can be really dangerous, and you have to be very careful. There's a lot of hookah bars, you know, all that stuff, and it's all condensed into one area of the Highlands. And there's also a really large park there called Cherokee Park. And there's a really famous cemetery right off Bardstown Road in the Highlands. That's where Muhammad Ali's buried. Because Muhammad Ali's from Louisville. There's a Muhammad Ali Museum that's newer. That's pretty cool. We also have the Speed Art Museum that's in the university part of town, which is that's a pretty nice part of town. And the actual like university itself, it's a pretty big campus. The University of Louisville is. And it's not, I mean, it's just average, you know, it's not like too horribly crime ridden, but it is in the middle of the city. And right outside of it, it's not the ghetto, but I would definitely consider it like the hood. You know, I mean, I differentiate between like just straight out ghetto and hoods. So the hood isn't as bad as the ghetto, but it's definitely the hood of Louisville. And it's kind of a mixture, a lot of minority population, but also a lot of college kids. So, I mean, you have a mixture of cultures living there. And there's like there's like a lot of really unique houses and unique places. And then on one end of the university, on the north end, and those areas is like old Louisville, where there's historic mansions and homes, and that's like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th Street, all that. And they're just down from downtown, and it's just like rows of these massive trees that have been there for hundreds of years, and these mansions that have been there for a couple hundred years, and really beautiful homes. It is unique, but you also be careful, because if you go a little too far to one end or the other, you're in a very troubled neighborhood, and you can get hurt really fast. So yeah, and that's just it. Is like Louisville, you're always one block away from a bad area. So, and then you're a block away from a good area, and then a block away, you know, it's just kind of goes in waves in certain places. Um, so yeah, I mean, the Highlands are great. The university area is great. Art Museum, Muhammad Ali Art Museum. There's the Children's Science Museum, which adults, I mean, as an adult, I still have fun going there. And there's an IMAX theater in it. There's the Louisville Slugger Museum, and you can go see them make the baseball bats. What else? There's a few little art galleries. There's the art museum inside 21C. I mean, there's things here and there. The Speed Art Museum's really great, and you can go for free every Sunday, which I really like. I like that feature. A lot of art museums do have a program where you can go in for free on certain days and things like that. And then let's see. And then you have areas like Butchertown, Smoketown, all that. Those are becoming more and more gentrified with time. Did it need to be done? I don't know, debatable. Because it displaces a community as well. So, and they've been there for decades upon decades, and had affordable housing, or they had a house passed down to them over the decades from family, and they get pushed out by a white person with a hipster dream to microbrew IPA. I mean, it's just kind of like I mean, do the areas need to be redone? Sure. But gentrification isn't really usually the answer. I mean, am I super sad when I see like an old manufacturing plant being turned into lofts? Not really. That doesn't really bother me. I mean, it's like whatever. But you'll see some like old school homes in the area that could be restored to former glory, and they just kind of get turned into these like hipster, like high-low meshed up little monster dreams. I don't know how to explain it. So yeah, also Louisville's known for the shotgun house. So, that's very common in downtown Louisville and those areas, is the shotgun home. It's basically just a one-story house. It'll have a cellar, it'll have a underground thing, because every house in that area does usually. But it's a one-story home, and it's straight. It's just a rectangle in front, and it goes straight back, and it's just a shotgun home. So like, you walk in the door, it's the living room, and then it's real narrow and long. And and you'll go into the living room, and then the middle of the house will be a bedroom or two, and then you go in the back of the house, and that'll be the dining room, kitchen, and bathroom. And they usually have a front porch and a small back porch. And it's just a really long, narrow home, and there's a million of them in Louisville. That can be a really affordable option for a first-time house buyer. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind. And, I've seen people do some really creative things. Am I really super sad when somebody remodels an old shotgun home? Not really, I mean, there's not like a whole lot of like majorly historical shotgun homes. It's just, what people had to do. So, yeah, and I've seen people do some really cool, unique things with shotgun homes. Like, they really remodel them, make them cool, and do really unique, interesting things with them. There is a really heavy arts and crafts scene in Louisville. There's a lot of artisans in Louisville. In Kentucky in general, I will say that. There's a very, very large art scene there. I've seen major cities, bigger cities than Louisville, have less of an art scene than Louisville does. You know, obviously, like New York. I mean, it's hard to compare to that, um, but yeah, for the size of the city it is and where it's at, you know, there's actually a really, really large art scene there. Um, Music, yeah, here and there. Um, it's a lot of country, a lot of blues, bars, that kind of thing. Um, my favorite pizza place in Louisville is called Wix, and I would definitely recommend going by there. Uh, what else? The nice part of Louisville is called the East End. So the West End's all like the horrifying ghetto, and that's where like it's all going down. But the East End of Louisville is the nice part. That's the super ritzy-ish. That's where all the rich people in Louisville live usually. Um, that's where like the major really nice malls are. That's where you're gonna find like higher end shopping. Um, you know, the East End is just, that's where like all the nice stuff is. That's where like it's like the ritzy end of town. Um, unless you're just making some very serious cash, you know, you're probably not going to be able to afford to live there. Like the closest the average person is probably going to get to there is probably like Butchertown, and still you're paying $1,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment, is what I'm saying. So, you know, just for like some context, you know, you're talking like $400,000-$500,000 house easy to begin with, to like start out at. And you know, it's like the super super nice suburbs, really beautiful big homes kind of thing. A lot of like if a company has like a nicer branch of their company, they're gonna do it in a corporate office building on the East End. There's a lot of that there. So yeah, it's like two different worlds. It's still very segregated, and we'll get into that more. But yeah, I mean, those are probably the main pros. And people that can't afford to live on the East End of Louisville, they go over to the Indiana side because it's nice, but it's a lot more affordable. And yeah, the East End is starting to really see an uptick in crime, even though it's the nice area, it's the ritzier area and all that. They're starting to see a lot of uptick in crime. Whereas Indiana, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of crime in Indiana, but it's not nearly as bad as it is in Louisville. So if you're wanting to have like a nice big suburban home without a lot of the crime headache and all that, you're probably going to be moving to the Indiana side. Now, it's also a lot more countryside on the Indiana side once you get past New Albany and Jeffersonville and Clarksville. Once you get past all those, it's nothing but just forest and woods and homes spaced out. And the further you go out, the further the homes space apart. And they space apart quick. The second you get out of Clarksville and Jeffersonville and New Albany, I mean, it's instant. It's almost like instant drop off and instant countryside. What else? Cost of living. If you're in certain industries, you know, you'll probably find a job easily enough. Even though the job market at this time is really, really brutal. It's really awful. It's just horrifying. I'm hoping it's going back up. You know, I really do. I really hope that it starts evening out. But yeah. What else in Louisville? Oh, it's a Democratic city. So it is a much more liberal city. Now, there's still plenty of Republican. So, I mean, don't think like you're going to be going from like the rest of Kentucky Republican hell to like this Shangri-La of Democrat land, because it's not like that. But I mean, it is a much more democratic city. The mayor of Louisville, you know how he won his election? This tells you anything about how we're going to go with the cons, is during the election campaign, somebody broke into his campaign office and shot everybody. And he stayed alive. He was shot. And, pretty much when somebody gets shot during a campaign and they live through it and they're still campaigning, that's pretty much an instant vote in. So, I mean, yeah. Has he been a controversial mayor? Yeah. Because, I mean, I've actually worked within the Louisville government with Tark, and there's a lot of interesting opinions about him as mayor. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, once you get shot at during a campaign and you live through it and you're still campaigning, you're pretty much a shoo-in to be voted in as mayor or whatever you're campaigning for. So, and they made these dramatic ads after he was shot at. I mean, they milked it, baby. They milked it. It's glorious. It's politics in all its glory. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But and that's Louisville for you. Yeah, I mean, it's still very, very traditionally political. That is both a blessing and a curse. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of MAGA, a lot of Trump. That's further out in Kentucky, but there's still plenty of it in Louisville. It's just a much more democratic city. Louisville is a very minority-heavy city. It's very black. Here the last 20 years, it's very Cuban. Cuban is the dominant Latin culture in the city. The entire south end of Louisville is majority Cuban. I mean, there's, plenty of Mexicans and Guatemalans and lots of other people, but that's the primary Latin American culture in Louisville is Cubans. And there's a lot of Cuban restaurants all over the city. They are starting to disperse throughout other parts, but they have a pretty good strong hold on the south end of Louisville. So if you're in the south end of Louisville, you're going to be around a lot of Cuban people. I like that. I like that it's more minority, geared. But some people don't. We'll go over that in our cons. But yeah, I mean, it's so it is culturally diverse, which makes any, in Kentucky, in order for a minority to thrive, they're not going to thrive out in the sticks of Kentucky, really. They have to almost kind of have to go to Louisville. So, yeah, so they all kind of just congregate there, and I don't blame them. But especially in that particular area of the country. And so I mean, that's a big reason why Louisville tends to be more democratic. Let's see. Pros. What other pros are there? I'm trying to think really hard. I don't know. I can't really think of anything else that comes off the top of my head. I wouldn't say much about the Louisville education system, especially the inner city. But the Indiana side, if you do live on the Indiana side education system, especially in Floyd County, top notch, really great public education. At least it was when I went. I don't know how it is these days, but when I went to school there, I had a top-notch public education. I had a really, really amazing public education. In terms of the education, I had some really cool teachers, very smart teachers. But there were some cons to it. I'll go over that in the cons. What else? I can't really think of anything else. Yeah, mostly Derby. Certain areas of the city are really great. Obviously, fried chicken. Take your pick of any fried chicken place to go in the city. Bourbon Trail, Derby, certain areas of the city. It is culturally diverse. Certain aspects of the weather, you do get all 4 seasons, but you get them in a very extreme way, except for autumn. But the thing is, you can enjoy autumn in a million other places that are, even prettier. So, yeah, as far as pros go, yeah, for sure. I would just say, if you're not having to move there for work, or you really truly don't have like a job within their major industries, and you're not from there, you don't have family there, you're kind of just a transplant. Yeah, if you have a manufacturing or a certain type of engineering background, sure, sign yourself up. And you don't mind the cons that I'm getting ready to go over in the next video. But honestly, though, I would say go in for Derby Fest and get out. Pretty much. I'm only saying that for people that are not culturally attuned to that area, people that aren't from the South, aren't from the Midwest. They don't really have a job market there, You don't really have a job in their major industries that they cater to in the area. Yeah, I would say, skip it. Skip it except for the Derby. It's just really not anything other than the Derby. The Derby is the world's most famous horse race. So, and Louisville is quite historical in that aspect. And if you are there for the entire Derby Fest, I would definitely check out, like, taking tours of the historical homes and seeing the Underground Railroad. That is really unique. It is really interesting. There's a lot of great history there. But you can get all that done and go party a night or two on the Highlands and all the rest of it. You can get all that done in 2 weeks, And they have, like, in the old part of Louisville, where I was talking about, like, where all the old mansions are when the city was first built and everything. They have, like, these old, like, this historical home tour that you can go on and see all the old homes. But you can do all that in 2 weeks, for real. So, that's definitely something. If you just really don't have any major stake to claim in the game at that particular area, one way or the other, that is the only reason why I could see anybody really wanting to go there. So, yeah. And it's really sad because that's my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. But it's just, I feel like I'm removed enough from it over the last 20 years, 20 plus years, and having gone back to it and seeing how it's changed from where I was literally born there and raised there to having moved away and then living all over the world and everything, and then come back and all the rest of it. I have a firsthand, true, objective viewpoint of the area. So, I mean, I'm not saying, get in, get out to be malicious or be like, you're not welcome. That's not it at all. It's just from somebody that knows, like, unless you're like going to get like some like upper management manufacturing job or something like that, or some crazy awesome job there. I mean, there's just real no reason to put yourself through it, because the cons are pretty bad. And I would definitely say for what good is in the city, the cons definitely outweigh it. The nature of the cons themselves and the list of cons outweighs the good of the city. And the city is aware of that, and I think they've been trying to change it, but it's real slow and real painful. So I'm gonna get to it and then get on video number 2.